Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's taking um, Facebook so long to go on live and YouTube. But while they're tuning in, those of you on Instagram, come on in. Good morning. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time, let me know where you're tuning in from. Personally, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. Um, let's see. Let me try and go live again on here. What is going on? Okay, there we go. So I'm live on Facebook as well and YouTube. Hi, YouTube, and hi, Facebook. Thank you for tuning into my live. Hi, Jem from Huntsville, Alabama. Good morning, Brandon, Kelvia. Um, Good morning. I am Quabena. Di Bloat from Virginia. Jones Forgot just jumped right into it, talking about can I travel on a 2-year green card to international countries? Absolutely. If you have a green card, you're a green card holder, whether it's 2 years or 10 years. Having a green card is having a green card. It just means that you, of course, have to file for removal of conditions when the 2-year time comes. Now, the answer is also going to depend on if this is your first time, if you're already in the process of removal of conditions and where you are in the stage. But if you've just received your 2-year green card, or you're still within your normal window, you can travel freely. But before I jump into the other questions, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Aisha Chidowe. I'm an immigration lawyer. I represent clients all over the U.S., internationally, with their family immigration, humanitarian-based immigration. You can always call the office to schedule a consult. Office is 407-995-6567. Let me just put that on the ticker here. And WhatsApp is 404-333-8751. If you're on Instagram if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you should be able to see that. I'm just scrolling through the ticker. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, let me just put my number here. And you guys know that I can multitask while I'm typing numbers. So just give me a second to type that in so I can pin it. That way you can save my number. But today is just really more of a casual chit chat. Ask your questions and I'll try to answer as many of them as I can. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone in Illinois is safe. I saw they had the dust storm or whatever yesterday, so much so like affected a client of ours where they were like 3 hours on the road and they couldn't even get to their interview on time. So hope everyone is safe because I know there were a lot of accidents. Dialogue asks, any guidance on how to show good moral character for VAWA applications? Yeah, so one of the things that you want to do is you want to get a police clearance. So let's say you've lived in the United States for 3 years. You want to get basically, if you want to do like a universal thing, you can do an FBI fingerprinting where we can get clearance from the FBI showing that you don't have any criminal records, or you can do a police clearance from your local police precinct. Keep in mind, though, if you do police clearance, you want to make sure that if you're like one of those who move from state to state to state, that you're able to get it from all the different states, because they're basically looking at 3 years back. Sometimes if you've just come into the U.S. and you're filing immediately, then we'll need police clearance from back wherever you were from, into the U.S. But basically, they need a 3-year history, essentially. Tony, good morning. Okay, let me scroll through to the top so that I can start answering questions in order. I can see the person that asking me to answer their question. Good morning, y'all. I can see all your good mornings. Good morning. Malaya, this is your first time from Plano, Texas. Thanks for tuning in. Kelvin said, God will bless you. Amen. And so will he to you. Can I get a divorce in my country, still live in the United States, and file for VAWA? Honestly, this is not something that I'm fond of. You should get your divorce from the country of where you live in, where you have jurisdiction. So, I guess the question is, where does your other spouse live? Where do you have jurisdiction? Just because right now a lot of foreign divorces are at issue of validity. If you can get a divorce in the United States, I would say try and get your divorce here in the United States just to avoid the drama. Good morning from Turks and Caicos Island. Oh my God, Epiphany, come take me. I want to visit Turks and Caicos so badly. Very, very beautiful country from everything I've seen and pictures. Sophia says, good morning, beautiful, best attorney in the world. I wish every day I met you earlier so you can be my lawyer. Oh, thank you so much, Sophia. Well, hopefully whatever it is you're doing, that whoever is helping you will get you what you need to get, and you can feel free to refer people to us. Good morning, Ricardo from North Carolina. How do you know if you qualify for advanced parole? Stop, I heard the way you know if you qualify for advanced parole is when you file for adjustment of status, for instance, you want to make sure that you don't have any removal proceedings, you don't have any pending removal cases. I'm only speaking of adjustment of status because I'm assuming that's maybe what your class is, because it's different for everyone. It's different for everyone depending on, is it through DACA you're asking, is it through TPS? But if it's for marriage, basically, if you don't have any removal proceedings, you've not been ordered removed or whatever it is, when you're doing your adjustment of status, you can simultaneously at the same time apply for advanced parole. And for those of you who don't know, advanced parole is basically what allows you to travel while your case is pending. And because cases pending for such a long time now, it's always good to have a travel permit. I know someone asked in the comments yesterday whether it's necessary. Is it really necessary to get advanced parole? And I said, look, for our own clients here, whatever benefit you're eligible for, whatever we apply for, we're applying for them all. It's not something we're gonna talk, because I would rather have you have your advanced parole and keep it and not use it than you not have it and you have an emergency that requires you to travel outside the country and then you can't leave the country. Benefits advocate said, I don't have any questions for myself. I want to listen because my clients sometimes need an immigration lawyer. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. A person applied for advanced parole and requested expedited process, and he submitted additional documents, but he didn't hear back. What should he do? I mean, at this point, he just has to wait. Without knowing how or what his timeline is, it's really hard to, say what he needs to do. If one hasn't gotten a work permit through VAWA, should they worry? Please, what is your advice? Well, it's hard to really say because I don't know whether you applied for adjustment of status with your VAWA. Did you apply for work permit through the adjustment of status or through VAWA itself? When did you file? So there are just so many variables to be able to say whether you should worry or not. Generally, if you did everything correctly, including adding the adjustment of status application, many people will fall within the 4 to 9 months window as far as when they get it. Alani says, when someone files for a new divorce prior to marriage, what's supposed to be the marriage date? You file for a divorce. So are you asking how soon you can marry? It's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, of course, if you marry someone as soon as you divorce somebody else, it could be a red flag. But again, as I always say, a red flag is not necessarily means that you're going to be denied. A red flag just means you're going to look through your application with a fine-tooth comb to understand why you married, you got divorced today and you married the next day. But then also sometimes some people are separated for a long time and they're just going back and forth and waiting for that denial to happen. So they could very well have been separated for 2 years, but the divorce just finalized. So it's not like they just got married, but they've been separated for a long time. So all of those things, are all variables. What do I do when my ex-husband sent in a letter to USCIS that he's no longer supporting me? Call us, Samantha. Let us screen you and see if you qualify to self-petition through VAWA. If you do, then you'll be able to file through VAWA. But you want to act quickly before USCIS has an opportunity to deny you I-485. I mean, they will withdraw the I-130 because, that's his petition. But sometimes they delay the I-485 denial. So, you can call us and let's screen you and see if you have other alternatives. Can I file for divorce after I file in a waiver based on abuse for a pending I-751 with a pending N-400 under the 3-year rule? So Wakome, the answer to this question has 2 parts. Typically, for those of you who don't know, so that I will make sure everybody understands what she's asking. Typically, when you have a 2-year conditional green card, when the 2-year expires, you have to put in an I-751 application to remove the condition so you can get your 10-year permanent green card. Now, if you're not with your spouse any longer, or you're having issues, or your spouse is abusive, you have an option to file for a waiver and providing evidence to support why you're asking for a waiver. If you get approved based on abuse, then you'll be technically eligible for that pending N-400, which is a naturalization citizenship application under the 3-year rule. If you file for divorce and you divorce, and at the time you go to your interview, for instance, USCIS says, well, we don't believe that this was abusive. We believe this was marital strife or something. USCIS can then say, well, but you're divorced and we believe you had a good faith marriage, so we will approve this based on divorce. If they approve this based on divorce, you'll get your 10-year green card, but you will not be eligible for citizenship, because citizenship, when you're divorced, you have to wait 5 years from the date of the green card. So hopefully that wasn't, too confusing. All right, all the questions on Instagram today. Those of you on Facebook and YouTube, you don't have any questions today? Okay, so let me keep answering the ones on Instagram. If your mother filed for you and your child and you're waiting for interview at the embassy in Jamaica, but she passed 2 months ago, does that affect you? Yeah, it definitely does affect you. It definitely does affect you. Was your I-130 approved? There's that. You've entered complicated territory. Typically, when that happens, usually there'll be like a notice to revoke, of intent to revoke, like they will revoke the approval. Like if your I-130 has happened, I mean, there are obviously humanitarian grounds which you can ask for, but there's a lot that goes into that, where you live, residency, and all that stuff for them to consider you. So it's not a very good situation, and I'm sorry if that's something that happened to you. NASA says we've been seeing marriage-based cases being processed fast. Is this the same for valid cases? Unfortunately, it's not, and I wish it was, but it's not. If I have a pending valid case, can I file for citizenship? No. If you have a pending valid case, you have to get your green card first and have your green card for 3 years before you can file for citizenship. Can you file for mom with younger sibling? So if you're a U.S. citizen, you can file for your mom separately, and you can file for your sibling separately. Your sibling cannot come under your mom. There are two independent applications, principal applicants, or whatever it is. So like, for instance, your mom will be considered an immediate relative. So her process will take a quicker time, and then your sibling will be considered a family preference category F4. So it could be anywhere from 16, 17 years. Tyler Dunn says, good morning, Valor Queen. Hey, Tyler, what's up? Consultation, young CEO is asking consultation. It's $150. Sammy Poo says, my fiance visa was approved. What's next? What's next is you need to fill out the NVC visa application and schedule an interview. Can I petition for my burnt mother, even though I was adopted by my aunt? Well, if you've terminated her parental rights and you were legally adopted, your mother is your aunt. Have you seen where child support matters affect getting citizenship? Yeah, all the time. I talk about this all the time. Currently, a 10-year green card holder expires in 2 years. Sheen Lewis, it does. So you need to be able to show that you're support. Like, we've seen this before, and it's one of those things that I talk about, and sometimes especially with the females who sometimes their children are under the care of their husband or and they just feel like this will not happen to them. And I tell them, listen, you are going to get denied if you cannot show why you're not supporting your child. So if you don't have any kind of child support arrangement, you have to show evidence that you're providing enough support to your child that is okay to the other parent, and that could come in the form of your money wires or bank statements and an affidavit from that other parent. I have been in interviews where USCIS during the naturalization interview will call the other child's parent and say, I'm calling because I have Mr. X here. I want to verify that he supports his child and that you did write this affidavit. So it does matter if you want to file for citizenship before your 2-year expiration. You want to make sure that you catch up on your child support if you are behind on it. If not, you might as well just renew your green card and get it sorted first. If you're on an H-2B visa and it expires, can you apply for a work permit? I mean, you need to be on an H-2, stay on an H-2 visa. Something has to qualify for the work permit, but, I don't know if because with H-2B, they're renewable. So I don't know at what point of your H-2B you're on, but, they're renewable. Can someone do a dowry marriage while waiting on VAWA? So every country is different as to what is considered a legal marriage. It says Ivorian PYT, so I'm going to assume that you're from Ivory Coast. I can't tell you offhand without checking the reciprocity schedule what a traditional dowry marriage is, but I don't recommend it because, like, for instance, in Nigeria, dowry marriage is like a traditional marriage. And on the reciprocity schedule, that is considered a legal marriage here in the United States. So if I were you, just hold on and just wait for your process to be concluded, and then you can do that, okay? YouTuber says, I have a question. What's the average time? What average time would it take to get work permit from adjustment through marriage from time of application? 4 to 9 months. Counselor says, good morning. I'm a 2-year conditional green card holder. My daughter is living with me. She's 14 years old. If I file for her, will she get a 2-year or a 10-year card? She will most likely get what you have. Now, can your spouse get it applied for her? If your spouse can apply for her, he should also do that. Are you sure that your own 2-year will be removed? So those are all things that you need to consider. Also, if she's 14 years old and living with you here in the U.S., I'm going to assume that she's out of status. She is going to have to consular process. So those are all things that you got to consider. When you become a U.S. citizen, if that happens before she's, before she's 21, you can file for her while she's here without consular processing. Okay. All right, let me answer another question. I have a 2-year green card. I filed for renewal through VAWA, but still waiting over 2 years. Can I file for citizenship? I love Clark's. You're going to have to verify. What did you file? Did you file an I-360 or an I-751? Because I can't answer your question until I know what exactly you filed. Did me and my daughter's biometrics on March 29th, checked case status, and it said case actively being reviewed. That's normal. Cases at the National Benefit Center. I'm not really sure if you're asking me a question, but that's normal. What happens after you do your biometrics? If you submit all necessary documents, but the age gap is 17 years, will one still be called for an interview? Honestly, I can't really predict who gets called for an interview or not. Obviously the stronger your application is, where no immigration history, no red flags in any way, the higher the chances that you could get bypassed for an interview. But there are also still some field officers that want to do an interview because, a lot of times they have these rules and they're discretionary. So it's really up to officers to decide what they want to do. A 17-year gap, it can be kind of like a red flag. It doesn't mean that you get denied or that your marriage is not legit. It can be kind of a red flag where there could be a strong chance that you could be called for an interview. But again, I'm not God and I'm not the officer, so I can't tell you what's going to happen in your case. But if you are called for an interview, just be prepared to just show them that, this is a real marriage. Like, sometimes that's life. You fall in love with who you fall in love with. Toya says, how long does the VAWA work permit taken after receiving the prima facie? Yes, I have a pending I-485. I just answered the question. 4 to 9 months, counting from when you submitted your application. So you can fall somewhere in that window. Of course, there are going to be people that fall outside of the window where they get theirs before or after, but 80% of people are going to fall within that window. If you get your 10-year green card and your first name is spelled wrong, how long does it take to get it back? I sent it to them from last year. Oh, that's really annoying. It takes a while. Were you able to get a temporary stamp on your passport? Try and schedule an info pass and see if you can get like something on your passport while you're waiting to get your green card. Okay. Can I travel out of the country if I'm awaiting approval for my VAWA? I have my combo card already. Without knowing your immigration history, I cannot give you any legal advice about you traveling. However, if you're someone that did not file an abeyance case, you've never been in removal proceedings, you've never been deported, typically that person can file. But that's that person. I don't know your personal immigration situation, so I can't tell you without knowing exactly what your status is. Because sometimes some people would be in abeyance, and they do they have their combo card, and they file for VAWA. And I've had this happen to a colleague of mine where their client left the country and then their 485 abeyance got denied and they were stuck outside the country. So I need, I can never really answer that question for anyone online unless I have a consultation and I understand your immigration history, your path, and all that to be able to say you're good or you're not good. Corbetta says, when one receives an I-797C notice of action, what is next, please? I don't know, because an I-797C is 797 is the name of all forms. It's the name of all notices that you receive from USCIS is on like that paper. So like, I don't know which one it is. You got to tell me what is the exact notice you received so I can tell you what's next. If I'm married, can I file for my husband's 3-year-old daughter? If you're a U.S. citizen, yes, you can. When can I be expecting my work permit when I did my biometrics? Yeah, I feel like I've talked about this 3 times already today, so I'm going to skip that one. What are the disadvantages of marrying a green card holder while trying to get a green card? That's a really good question. If you're a green card holder and you want to file for your spouse to get their green card, your spouse has to be in status. Well, first of all, they need to be in status. And secondly, visas need to be available. Right now, the last, 4 years, we've had where visas were current. The visa bulletin has changed a little bit. So even though right now, I believe we're using the final action dates, it's a slippery slope right now. So meaning there's a possibility that, if you don't act quickly, I don't know, I haven't looked at May's bulletin, actually. Actually, I have looked at May's bulletin. Same thing in May. I don't know what's going to happen in June. But the person basically has to be in status. And visas have to be available for you to adjust. Otherwise, they have to consular process after they've gotten a 601A waiver approved. So it's not the best situation. If you qualify for VAWA, you can apply for VAWA. But it's a question that you can only answer accurately on the exact month you asked, because the bulletin changes every month. So I can only tell you what it is as of May. Emmanuel says, good morning, Aisha. My name is Ayesha, by the way, not Aisha. Okay. How long or what's the next step after you get the prima facie? Anything we need to do? Thankfully, they got the work permit and travel permit. Great. After you get the prima facie, you just have to wait on a decision, a request for additional evidence, or a notice of intent to deny. The first prima facie you get is going to last for a year, and after that, they're going to keep renewing it for 6 months until they make a decision in your case. Most valid cases take anywhere from 24 months to 30 months on average. So, you can count from when you submit it to figure out where you're going to fall or what window you're going to fall in. All right, guys, I got to jump off. I have a consultation, but nice chatting with you guys. I'll be back live. If I didn't get to answer your questions, and you want to schedule a consult, schedule one. It's 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp if you want us to call you to schedule, and that's 404-333-8751. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.